part 2 of the T91 upper shown here and a standard AR upper. Who wore it best? So let's take a look at the differences in the bolt carrier. And I'm going to go ahead and remove the bolt carrier from the T91 upper here. Rarely is it discussed that there are actually some interesting modifications to the T91 bolt carrier. And so let's go ahead and make the comparison here between the T91 bolt carrier and the AR bolt carrier. The T91 did away with the forward assist. You see here the forward assist on the standard AR, and these are all standard on basically all issue ARs and M16s. And the T91 does not have it. You can see it's actually just smooth here. And my assumption is that Taiwan felt that because with the new piston system, the expectation for reliability increased as the amount of fouling was reduced. And if you want to see some more in-depth talk about how this system reduces fouling, you can see that in part 1 of T91 upper versus AR upper, who wore it best. Now, we don't have one here, but the 416, the HK 416 actually retains the forward assist capability, and presumably because HK concluded that the additional complexity of having this part here and the internal parts there, the additional complexity was actually worth the added functionality. Plus, we also have 50 years of experience with the forward assist. And in practice, the forward assist doesn't break or cause problems on its own. It doesn't, introducing these parts here, you would reasonably assume could cause problems, but actually in practice, this turns out to be a fairly tough item, and it isn't one of the parts that frequently breaks on the AR system. So let's take a look here. Here's a standard AR bolt carrier, and you can see it has the cuts here, which the pawl, what's called the pawl on the forward assist, will interact with if you're trying to push the bolt carrier forward, which is the forward assist part. And on the T91 bolt carrier, there are no cuts. So you can see it's completely smooth here, whereas on the AR bolt carrier, you have all of those cuts that are required for the forward assist to interact with while you're pushing the bolt carrier forward. If you don't have the forward assist, then you don't have to do the additional machining that's required here. It can actually just be completely smooth, and you don't have to have the added parts, as you don't have to have the added additional forward assist parts. So you can do away with all that, and this will reduce your machining costs, and it will reduce the required number of parts, which is actually helpful somewhat if your production quantity is going to be in the hundreds of thousands or the millions. That will reduce your costs a reasonable amount. Note that the bolt carrier on the T91 is still cut away in this area, and like the AR, just like on the AR, you can see on the AR bolt carrier it has the same sort of cutaway. The purpose for that cutaway is to allow a little bit of forward assist capability, and you can see when you actually do have some forward assist capability because the bolt carrier is cut for it. So if it doesn't go all the way forward, you can use your finger. Let me show you some of you guys how the forward assist works. Some of you may not be familiar with this. If for some reason the bolt carrier does not go into battery, you don't just have to use your finger necessarily to do it. You have this forward assist capability. You can just slam it forward like that. It'll put the bolt carrier into battery, which can happen in extreme conditions, extreme cold, a lot of fouling, a lot of dirt and stuff in there, and then now you're ready to rock and roll. The second thing is we go into more depth on the T91 versus the AR bolt, is that the T91 bolt actually has slightly rounded lugs. They're ever so slightly rounded, more so than they are on standard AR bolts. And you can, if anyone has a standard AR bolt, you can take a look at this. And since we can't get anyone from the 205th Armory in Taiwan who manufactures these on the phone, my assumption is that this allows for a slightly smoother transition as the bolt is engaging the locking lugs of the barrel extension. So as you can see here, as we're engaging them into the barrel extension of this barrel, and it's rotating to the left, presumably it will be slightly smoother if this back left edge here on every single lug is slightly more rounded than the other edges. Tell me in the comments if there's some additional function to these rounded edges, but that appears to be what's happening here. Anyway, hopefully you learn more about the T91 versus a standard AR upper. If you like what you've seen, hit subscribe, share with your friends, and tell us what you think in the comments. We're already planning a part 3, so make sure you're subscribed if you want to see that one. Thank you for watching.